with one of the cast members this season.
And we've seen like something already, you know, where like, you know, her profession was, you know, questioned.
Toya questioned her profession, which was extremely rude because she's worked hard to be an attorney. You know, it didn't come easy to her. She had to pass the bar exam. Like that takes a lot. You know, people they fail a lot the first time. So I think she's a professional. And I think for Toya to judge her like that was kind of hazing a little way, you know, for her being a newcomer.
Right. Well, I'm an attorney too. I passed the bar. I do not practice anymore. And it's not fun or easy. There's nothing exciting about it.
I can imagine. I mean, Kim Kardashian didn't pass it first time. She worked hard. Her dad was a great attorney. So like, you know, she had it in her family. She's probably been around law a lot. And so that probably helped her. But I'm sure it's a very difficult exam.
I feel like saying to Kim Kardashian, great effort, but why? Just go and run your billion-dollar empire, honey.
Oh my God. Do you think it's for the thing she's doing with the prison reform, maybe to understand that I think for her to be taken seriously, people wouldn't take her seriously otherwise. I think this way, she's proved herself. She's proved that she's an intelligent woman. She's able to do more than just reality television. And it proves she's got a brain, you know?
It does prove she has a brain. Do you have a low from this whole experience over the 9 seasons? Like one thing that sticks out for you, or like something you were a part of where there was like an argument where you're just like, I am so uncomfortable right now?
The low for me was definitely the fight that happened at my house, which happens to be the biggest fight ever on reality television. And, you know, it was all these doctors and doctors' wives and a beautiful black tie soiree, and we're just getting to know each other. And as Dr. Simone put it, 2 bitches in ball gowns fighting. I mean, for me, that was the low, definitely.
It was such an intense fight. Yeah. Does anything shock you at this point? Like you say, every season is different. Like how do you feel this season is different? And like, does anything shock you? I mean, you've been around this group for so long.
Well, after recovering from that, I think nothing shocks me. It is just like, you've seen it all. Like I never expected to have to deal with that in my lifetime. So for me, it was like, once you get over that, what possibly could shock you?
Yeah. That's really true. How is this season different for you?
This season, I guess it's nice having Audra because it's a new cast member. It diverts some of the attention. And so for me, it's been like, I don't know, it's been fun, but it's also had a lot of more serious tones this season.
It has. Well, one thing that stood out to me as more serious was this intervention with Dr. Heavenly. What did you think? You were not there, but what did you think of all of this?
You know why I wasn't there? Because Contessa didn't want me in her home. She and I had got into an altercation. Not an altercation, that means physical, but we got into a discussion and she was so mad at me. She didn't want me in her home. And they didn't even show that. In Vegas, she had gone off on me at breakfast before she and Heavenly got into it. And so for me, it was like, God, this new Contessa I'd never seen. Like she was so angry and so irritated because of what I'd revealed the previous year about her, the time I'd heard her and her husband discussing things. And I hadn't even revealed what they were discussing, but I'd mentioned it to Toya. Next thing you know, the filming outside of her room. And I think she blamed me for that. But in reality, like I don't run the show. I'm just a cast member or a friend. Like I'm not in charge of anything that happens. So it shouldn't have been me to blame. She should have been a little bit more understanding, I think.
Yeah. And also, I mean, isn't that the show? Isn't this the assignment? Isn't this what we show up for? Like,
what else are we going to talk about? Like, we're revealing things that happened, and that's something that happened.
So that's why, like, she just was like, I don't want you here. Wow.
Yeah, she didn't want me in her home. But I'm glad I wasn't there because it ended up being a complete drama between Heavenly and her. And according to, I wasn't there, but I think her child came down, or it just became like, when kids get involved, it's never good, you know?
Were you shocked, like when you watched it, like that this intervention was even happening?
Well, I was shocked because the night it happened, Toya called me on her way home and was like, you are not going to believe what happened tonight. Like, it's too much. Like, her and Heavenly, I don't know how they'll recover from this. I really don't.
I mean, that's kind of where I was. Like, we saw a moment on the Vegas trip where they seemed to be heading back in a good direction, but I imagine that doesn't last based on some coming attractions we've seen for the rest of the season.
Now, let me ask you, my eyelash is bugging me. Does it look weird?
No,
Okay, good. It's like making my eye flicker a little bit, but that's
now you look normal.
reality.
This is reality. Listen, I said when we started, you're all dressed up for me. I mean, I always feel, I mean, I have a collared shirt on for you. So this is dressy
Well,
for the
I have
Hamptons.
a luncheon later, so I'm going to switch out of this dress into something more casual, but I had to do hair and makeup because, you know, if you saw me when I got out of bed on a morning, it's not as attractive.
And you're 3 hours behind me. So, I mean, that's true.
Yeah.
What about, you know, do you think that, you know, Heavenly has learned from this intervention? Like, did you think that everyone overstepped? Like, what did you think? Like, whose
Well,
team
I
were you
asked
kind of
Heavenly,
on?
she and I talked about this, and I said to her, you know, you can be mean. We had a podcast a few weeks ago, and I said, Heavenly, sometimes you come across as being really mean. You know, I don't think you deliver it. People receive it in a much more detrimental way than perhaps she means to deliver it. And this was her answer. She said, I will always go 2 steps lower than anyone else. Like, if you come for me, I'm going to go 2 degrees lower. And that's her strategy. My strategy is I'm nice unless you come for me. And then I'm not as nice, but I'm not, I guess, I think when Contessa first started coming for me, she saw me maybe as an easy target, or she maybe saw me as a weaker person. But then I stood up for myself. She realized I wasn't. Whereas with Heavenly, if you come for her, it's going to be 2 steps lower. So you just have to be prepared.
I'm kind of a mixture of both you and Heavenly. Like, I am so nice.
I would
And
like more like Heavenly in a way because people don't mess with her as much. I mean, I think a lot of people are afraid of her. That's not I'm not afraid of her, but I think some of the cast are, and they stick with her like her little minions because they're afraid of her.
right. I mean, like, she does go low, but personally, I've said
Oh
this
my God,
before.
you can
I
go.
have no problem with that. Like, if you come for me, I don't get offended. You could say anything, but if you really want to come for me, I will go lower.
Yeah. Well, you have to definitely have thick skin on this show. You have to be able to take the verbal blows and not take it, not take it to heart because it is, you've got to stick up for yourself. You can't